And just regarding yesterday's webinar, I will be publishing it after this. I just had to make a couple of edits to it. So it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel a bit later. If you're looking for it, it's just Palladium software. If I just go here, if you're looking for the channel, Palladium software. Yeah, and you'll see a nice picture of our MD Stephen Corrigan there. And here are the videos we have so far. So we're going to be adding quite a few to this. We're beginning to populate it a lot quicker than we were. Okay. So where we finished yesterday, we finished with the contract billing, which is basically just the enhancement on reoccurring invoices. Today I was going to start with the enhancements that have been made to the price list. You'll notice it's not actually in the what's new in version 10 brochure. And it's not on the agenda what was sent in the mailer, but I think it's quite an important one to cover because the changes are quite significant. So I'm going to go into the price list, which you'll find in the inventory module. And here, this is how it looked before. It's no different at this point. So we have individual price lists. The main difference is each price list only had one set of prices, if that makes sense. Whereas now with the enhancements, if I go into one price list, you can set up multiple revision dates, multiple date ranges. So you can see here, so I have a price, so if I go into this date range, these items have their own price. If I go back out, so it's the same price list, but the prices adjust according on what dates of entry you're doing the invoices. So the same principle applies in effect of how you link it to customers in the master file, but the price will depend on the date of entry when you actually do the sales document, and it will fluctuate depending on what date and what price is associated to the date of entry. So if I just go into one of these, so most of this hasn't changed really, so you might be familiar with it already. So we can increase the price by a given percentage, either based on the current price, which so it'd be, if I press calculate, it'll add 10% on top of this value, and it updates the price accordingly. If we want to mark up on cost, then it will apply the 10% to this column and add it over here. So if we calculate, and it's updated it based on this column instead, rather. You can change the prices in bulk. If you want to do the 10% increase across the board for every item, you'd leave it to all categories. Or you can filter it by category. And here you set up your start and your end date. The date ranges obviously can't overlap, so you just need to make sure when you create a new date range, it starts the very next day after the end date of the previous revision date that you set up. On this second tab, you have set markup. So it's quite a useful feature, this one. A lot of people don't know, aren't aware of it. It's not new, but since we're in the price list, I'm just going to cover it anyway. So we have the markup on cost. So here you set up your prices here, your markup rather, your percentage markup. But if we tick this option here, it just automates the process really. Instead of having to come in here and click refresh or generate, this will automatically, so when I receive stock at a given price, it'll automatically update our price at time of stock receipt. So it's quite a useful feature just to put in place, just so everything's automated and it doesn't have to be done manually. So I've set up this price list, so you come in here, set up your price list. So let's take an example of one of these items just so I can demonstrate its functionality on a sales document a bit later. So here we've got, let's have a look at this item. So we've got dispenser base. So its current price is $144, and this begins on the 12th of October. I'm going to save the changes I've made here. I'm going to go into the earlier revision date, and the item price for this dispenser base is $150. So I'm just going to show you where that takes effect on the sales document. So firstly, let's go back out of here. So that's the first step in regards to price list. There is actually a YouTube video on this. Hasn't been uploaded yet. I'll get around to that one. So we've got contain items here. So that still needs to be uploaded. Let's get back here. So step one is the price list. And then we need to to link the price list to a customer. And this is just the default. It can be changed later on any sales document. So if I go into a customer, let's do it with Paul. We used them quite frequently yesterday. We'll continue. If you notice this pink thing here, I was just playing with some of the features of the GoToMeeting site, but I can't find like a rubber to erase it, so if you can just excuse that. So I'm going to go to Settings and Price List. So the one we were adjusting was Price 1, so I'm setting it up there for Paul. Okay, so that's his default price list. So now if I go into any sales document, so let's go into a sales invoice. We'll select Paul, and we'll select the item we were just referring to now, which was dispenser base. Let's have a look. So now it's pulling through the price that was associated to our second revision date. So the earlier revision date fell on before the 11th. So if I go to the 10th, you should notice that the price will change accordingly. And there you go, there you can see it's changed. Obviously, you do have the flexibility of changing this price on the document itself. This is just bringing through the default. So we can change this as long as the user has the given user security rights to change it. So, and also what you can do, if you want to see the price that is associated to this given item for other price lists, if you just click on this tab here, it's letting us know that we're below our minimum margin. Would we like to continue? Yes, that's fine. And this is bringing up the price of this item belonging to other price lists. So not other revision dates, other price lists. But it has a price of 0 in the other price list. So we can change it here. So that pretty much covers the price list feature in full. I was busy uploading the YouTube video for it, like I was saying, so that should be joining the webinar videos later this evening, most likely. So I'm just going to come out of here. So we'll go back to what was actually on the agenda. So next in line is the purchase order approvals. So this is another feature that allows companies just to set up a bit of a workflow process. So certain staff members may not be able to convert a purchase quote to a purchase order without the given rights or whatnot. So you might just have system administrators who have to approve quotes before they're converted. So to set this up, like with many other things, you go to the control panel, we go to the company options, and payables. So it's already ticked. So if I actually untick this, I'll go to payables, and you'll notice the purchase order approval icons are missing from here because it's unticked. So I'm just going to go back and tick it again. Just reverse what I just did. Select OK. And back to payables. So you can see these two icons. You might have noticed these ones have appeared up now. So firstly, to set this up, we have to set up our purchase order approvers. So we've got two here already set up. So we've got Anthony, which is actually one of my colleagues who will be doing the training for the clients in the next couple of days, actually. So at the moment, he has a document limit of 0. So he won't have the rights to convert a quote to a purchase order. So for the sake of this demonstration, that's not much use to us. So I'm going to give Anthony a lot more rights. Let's give him an unlimited number. Say email. So his notification is email. So you can set it up so the approver, at the time when a quote is recorded and approver has been selected, which I'll show you the process just now, as soon as it's recorded, the approver will get an email and or an SMS. For the sake of this example, I'm just going to put on email for now. There we go, so we've changed his. Tabo, we'll give him one of, let's say, 3,000 Rand. Select OK. This is because in the user profile, we haven't given Tabo an email address or a mobile number. So let's just turn off the notification method. Go back into there. There we go. So that's your approver limits. Then we have our vendor limits. So you can actually put limits on vendors. So it's not related to the approvers at all. This is just your limits on your vendors. You have your notification method. So like I was saying, the approver gets notified via email or SMS, depending on what you've chosen. You might choose both. And you can customize the actual message that you'll receive once the quote has been recorded and the approver's requested to decide whether they're going to approve the quote or not before it's converted. So that's where you set it up. Select OK. I'm just going to go into the control panel users, because my email address, just for the demonstration purposes, because my email address isn't linked to this user. So let me just put in my email address. Perfect. I just want to change the login details of this user because I don't believe I remember what they were. So just going to make that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And I also need to double check that the email has been set up accordingly. Let's have a look. So we've got an email. So here the email wouldn't have come through because it's got the SMTP details set up. So I'm just going to put it on Outlook because that's what we use. And we want to preview it. So great, perfect. So now I'm going to log out as Anthony. And we're going to log back in as Double. New password. Okay, so we're back in now. So we're going to go in as, so we're in as Table. So I'm going to go to a quotation. So if I go into the purchase order, it won't allow me to record one because he doesn't have the rights to. He needs to be able to approve it first. So I'm going to go in, do a request for a quotation. Let's select the vendor. Let's select our item. So this is, let's just look at any items. What can we sell? Dining chairs. So I think we set the limit at 3,000 Rand. So at the moment, so available approvers here, it only brings up Anthony's name because it goes above Tabo's document limit. I think we made his limit 3,000. So if I go below that value, you'll notice...
No, that was 300.
300 Rand rather. So let me just do... 300 Rand was the limit. So you'll notice now Tabo's name appears as an available approver. So now he's able to approve we're able to convert it into a purchase order. But just for the sake of this example, I'm just going to go above his limits and we'll use Anthony as the approver. So now we'll hit record. Give it a few seconds. Should be receiving an email now. Let me just... Oh, here it is. It's come up now. So here's the request for the approval that's been sent through. So the request for quotation has been created on today's date for the amount totaling 7,000 Rand by Tabo and is now awaiting your approval. So now we've got this message. We now need to know, now Anthony knows, or myself, needs to go back in. And we're going to log out as Tabo. Back in as Anthony. And now back to accounts payable. So, and then you go on this tab, approve purchase orders. And these are all the ones that have been done previously. And this is the one we just did now for 7,000 Rand. So you just click on the quotation and it opens it up. Instead of having the record button appear, you can see it's approve or decline. So we're going to approve it. And it's gone straight through to a purchase order and it's recorded it straight away. So that's the functionality of the purchase order approval. So it's a very powerful tool. I believe we are actually developing something so it can be accessed on a tablet. I'm not sure how far that is along the lines, So you can actually approve the request, the request for quotation, convert it on a tablet, but I'm not sure where that is in the timeline at the moment. I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to turn off the purchase order approvals because it's probably going to get in the way as I demonstrate some of the other new features. So moving on to the next one. So the next feature is you can change your vendor on purchase orders and requisitions. So before, when you captured a purchase order, you weren't able to, you can't click here, you can't change it. Even if you hit adjust, you couldn't change it. So you just go back again. But now they've included this tab over here. So before you'd have to remove the document and do it again and capture it with a different vendor, but that's no longer required. So now we can simply just click this icon here to change the vendor. And so we've got natal cables, we'll just change it to metal merchants. Changing vendor will also refresh the prices. And there we go, it's changed the vendor and it's recorded the purchase order. A very simple one, but a useful feature. But we'll swiftly move on to the next one. So the next one we have is advanced assembly. Actually, sorry, I'm missing one. Actually, it's purchase price variance control on purchase documents. So again, this is set up in the control panel. Purchases. And activate purchase cost variance. So what it's doing actually, it's just giving you a warning. You're setting up a warning on your next purchase document, taking into account your last received cost for a particular item. So without this being turned on, it won't let us know that we're purchasing the item for 50% more than we did last time. So it's good just to have this warning set up, just to let you know in the past you've got this item for a lot cheaper or whatever it may be. So let me just let's put 10% here or something like that. Select OK. And then we go back into payables. And let's go into an invoice. Let's have a customer who's got a vendor rather who's got a bit of history. Let's have a look here. An item that's linked to the vendor. Hopefully there's some. So this is pulled through this price. So I'm just going to go a bit extreme. Hit record, and there we go. It's letting us know that we're about to pay above 10% more than we paid last time. Would you like to continue? No, we wouldn't. So it even shows the last purchase unit cost at the bottom down here. And it's showing us the variance. So we're about to pay 356 times, in terms of percentage, more than last time. So it's good to be informed of that. So it's definitely something that I'd recommend customers have set up. And it's easily missed. It's just in the corner of the company options you see there. So do we would like to continue? Not at this stage. Maybe soon. So what else you can do is so you can actually go into purchase history. And here, so this is a useful tool just to be able to negotiate with your vendors. It actually shows you how much you purchased this item in the past. So you can go back to your vendor and say, oh, hang on, we bought it for 250 Rand last time, but now we're being charged 1,000 Rand. So it's just a good negotiation tool as well. And yeah, so that's that covered. So because I pressed cancel, it's returned it to a previous value. Would we like to proceed? Yes, we would. Enter an invoice number. And now it's letting us record. Going back to where I was about to start, so we've got advanced assembly now. So before we just had this functionality here. So you could only do one job at a time, and it was instant. So if you recorded it, the job was done instantaneously. So with the advancement now, you're able to plan going forward, and your planned assemblies are put onto a graphical production schedule. You can copy directly from a sales order, so the customers track throughout the process. So it's this functionality here that's been enhanced. So if I go into the works order, so basically here we're just setting up assemblies going forward. And once we record it, it's not having any impact on stock at this point in time. It's just planning it in future. So we set a date and so forth. So we load our bill of materials. Let's go for the cottage door. We'll assemble one. And here, similar to the assembly, it's letting us know our components down here at the bottom. And it's letting us know the assembled item. But this is as far as the assembly could go. You'd record it and then the item's created. You can only do one at a time. Whereas now, we can load another one. What else have we got here? Let's go for a 6 chair set. We'll assemble 3 of those. Let's do another one. 4 of those. So here you can see we have 3 assembled items, and they're scheduled to start, let's say, on Friday, and they're going to finish on the 18th. So if I'm clicked on the top one at the moment, so this is the components for that one. I select this one, you see the components have changed, and it's changed again. So, and we can also copy from a sales order. So as long as I've done it, I've done an invoice for Michael Myers for one of our bill of materials. So if I select on here, it will pull it through down here. So we can copy it directly from a sales order. The actual main reason, the biggest use of this feature is probably to print bulk materials for issue, so your staff members know exactly what needs to be done and when, and what components are required for it. It's just a planning thing, really. This is where it falls into. So if I go to print preview, first it'll ask me to record. Just wait for the report to pull up. And here, this is telling us what we're assembling and the components that are required. And they're all part of the same works order, the start date. It gives you all the information. So this is what you'd give to your staff just to get everything together, basically. So now we've recorded that. Let's go have a look at the production schedule. So if we go into here, and here you can see, so beginning on Friday, these 3 jobs will start. So you can see it here. So you can plan well in advance. And you can actually complete it directly from here. So we don't have to go back into assembly into the works order to complete the process. We can click on one of them directly here. It brings it up. And if we want to actually bring these items into stock, you just select manufacturing complete. So it's going to take the components out of stock, and it's going to bring in the final product into stock. Record. And then we've finished. So we've done it for the 6 chairs, so that would affect the stock for there. And again, we'll do it for the other items. And there we go. So the main thing is the main use of it is to print bulk materials for issue for the store. It's all about planning, whereas the assembly didn't give you that flexibility. The assembly is just all about right now, whereas this you can plan far into the future. So that's the main difference between the two, the most useful thing about it. So what we've got next on the list is the inventory buyouts. It's not new to version 10, but it's not something we've really publicized or explained to clients. We do get a lot of questions about what is a buyout and what its use is, and that's because we haven't really educated them on it. So we've included it as a new feature in Palladium version 10. So to create one, we go into inventory, buyout. I'm going to call it a buyout. We'll have a category, so you'd probably be ideal to set up a category called buyout. So what is a buyout? A buyout is an item that you're selling a non-standard item. It's not something you keep in stock. So you sell it normally as a once-off type of thing. So an example I was given is So if you sell a car, obviously it's a high value item, and the client says, well, I'll buy this car if you provide me with a bottle of milk as well. You're not going to jeopardize the deal because you don't sell milk, so you're going to make it a once-off and you'll just bring that milk in, but you'll bring it in as a buyout item. So we're not stocking it, so we're not going to bring it in. And with the buyouts, obviously, because we don't stock it, it doesn't have a cost associated to it. But when we do the sales invoice, it will ask us to give it a cost on the fly. We can do it directly on the sales document, which I'll show you now. And again, with account sets, so you'll create a new one specifically for buyouts. And you'll see here the required accounts are quite different to the other one. So I'm just going to link this one in. I'm just going to link it to any accounts right now. Buyout. Okay, so let's go to a sales document. So now we'll pick our customer. So we'll sell our main item, wherever it may be. And if I add the buyout now, so say it's an item we don't usually sell. It's a non-standard stock item. So I'm going to click on there, and straight away it's asking it for our unit cost. And we sell it. And that's the buyout item, really. It's quite a simple one, but it's quite novel at the same time. What do we have next here? I'm just going through the what's new in version 10 brochure one by one. So next we have is internal requisitions and issues. So you'll find this in the inventory. So what this is used for, so we have two icons you see here. So the first one, internal requisition, is, so what this is all about is using stock internally. So the internal requisition is just a request to use something internally. So again, it's something perhaps like, whether it be fuel, if you purchase fuel, milk, whatever it may be, or folders, whatever you're using internally in the office. So if we're doing a request, test, we'll pick an item. So we're requesting this. We're not selling it to a client, we're using it internally. We've got to use a quantity of 1 and record. So at this stage, it's not having any financial impact on our accounts, whatnot. As you can see, it doesn't have the journal entry tab, what you'd find on all documents which do have an effect on your accounts. This is just a request at this point. And then to approve a request, you go into the issue requisition, and you can convert from this point. And you can see the journal entry tab does appear here, which means it does have financial implications. So we're going to be writing off stock now. So I'm converting that. We'll record it, and then you can see you can view the journal entry here as well, what's happened here. And this would have taken one of these items out of our stock. So in an ideal world, if you're going to use this correctly, people who need to use the internal requisition shouldn't have user security rights to this icon. So if I just go into the control panel, let's look at Tabo, access rights, let's have a look at inventory, internal requisition. Here it is here. So I would just give him the ability to request to use internal stock, and I wouldn't allow him to use that. Hi Tanya, thanks for the question. Can you, let me just see that, I missed that. Where did it go? Can you convert multiple internal requisitions into one issue? Good question, let's actually take a look at that. We'll find out together, I'll take it. So let's do that. So cover one. There's one of them. Let's create another one. Issue requisition. No, it looks like you can only do one at a time. I might be mistaken. It's something I'd have to check. Let me just make a note of that. But by what it looks like you can only do one at a time. The next one on here, so we have inventory adjustments, allocations to projects. So before you didn't have this icon here. So if I do a stock adjustment, training, let's use any item, so unit cost, wherever it may be, record. We weren't able to allocate these adjustments to a project, whereas now we've got that ability to do so. So after you've recorded it, select the project and which project you're going to allocate that adjustment to, record, and there it is done. So a very small inclusion, but something that was required really. So what do we have next? So container items. So this was quite a strong feature. So I've missed out another one, and the next one is, let me have a look here. So if I go to the control panel, I'm not going by the agenda on the email now, I'm going through the brochure. So next I've got, so I just want to I'm just trying to cover everything in the brochure rather than going by what was sent out on the email. So the next one is display negative on-hand inventory items on the control panel settings. So if we go to company options, yes, Tanya, I just read your reply. No, I do agree with you. I'll have to follow up if there's a reason behind it, perhaps. So, yeah, we go to inventory. So, on Palladium, you're allowed to allow for negative inventory, or you're not allowed to. But if you do want to untick this option, you can't do so until you bring in all your items back up to a positive stock unit. So before you'd have to go in and run a report and find out which items are in negative stock, whereas now directly you can just go here, negative stock items, and it tells you exactly which items we'll need to bring back into a positive value to allow us to untick this box. So it's quite a useful feature. So the next one is, what else we got here? So I'm just going back on here. So we've got inventory picker enhancements. Again, I think this is another one that was included on the previous version. So you weren't able to, let me just go back here, inventory inquiries. So before you weren't able to filter by location and vendors. Similar to the buyouts, it was included before, but it wasn't really highlighted at any stage. So we've included that in the brochure. Just a small but useful feature yet again. So the next one is container items. So what this is like, so a container item, another name is a SHEB. So when I think of a container item, I think of somewhere like, like Food Lovers. So you have it's like a box or a crate, and a crate can hold 20 tomatoes. So you can apply a cost to your container items now in Palladium. So before you'd just be giving out these crates, and you're not accounting for the cost of these crates. I mean, they're not free. So it's just another way to help companies manage their bottom line and manage their costs a bit better, or at least account for them. So to set up a container item, so let's create one. So you create it like any other item. So I'm going to call it box, but I'm going to call it with a double X because I think I might already have one set up called box. I don't want it to duplicate. So I'm going to link it to a category. Again, I'd advise you create a category called container items because you do want to separate them. And again, I'd advise you create an account set called container items. So as easy as that, really. That's how you create a container item. It's like setting up any other item. So we select OK. So the main issue, so you would go to your primary item, the one you want to link the container item to. Let's see if we've got anything that makes sense what you'd put into an item. So we've got no apples on here, oranges, let's say we've got some oranges. These are items I usually create. Potato 10 kilogram pack, doesn't make sense. I'm just going to quickly create a relevant primary item. So we've got oranges, link it to a category, location, count set. I'm going to add an image. There's an orange. Okay, so then to link the container item, you'll see there's an additional tab that's been included here. So it's container items. So now, we're going to select the item name. So we called it box. I could have used just one X, but anyway, we've got two X's for now. Select our location and pack size. So how many oranges can this container item hold? So let's say 25. You can link multiple container items to the one primary item. I think I have another one set up here. Let's just take a look. In fact, I don't. Let me create one quickly. Create. Link it in. So now I've linked two container items to this primary item being the oranges. So let's say the crate can hold up to 10 oranges. So what this means is when we come to process a sales document and we do an invoice or sales order or whatever it may be for 50 oranges, we anticipate that it will recommend that we need 2 boxes, 2 times 25 being 50, and it will recommend 5 crates. So press OK, and let's go demonstrate, and let's put it to practice. So let's go to sales invoice, select the customer, and we'll select our primary item, oranges, give it a price, just doesn't look right when the item is at 0 value. Okay, so let's do like I said, so with 50. So now, normally, if there wasn't a container item linked to here, we could simply hit record. But now, because it's got an item container item linked to it, it'll give us a pop-up. There is also a tab here for container, so we can either click on there or hit record. It doesn't really matter. So if I hit record, you'll see it's come up here now. So it's recommending 2 boxes, and it's recommending the 5 crates. So to select which one you want, so we're going to go, let's go with the crates, 5 crates. So I'm going to change this one to 0 because we don't require any of that. You select OK. And there you go. It's added the crates to the invoice. So you're just taking into account the cost of your crates basically, but it's a strong, and if we adjust, let's adjust it to 60, hit record, now it's advising we need 6. And there we go. Our next item, we have inventory repackaging. So here's the icon here. So what we're doing here is, say with our example where we have, let me go to my potatoes. So I have potatoes, let's just pull it up. So I have a 10 kilogram pack, but we want to break this, we want to repackage the 10 kilograms and put it into 5 packs containing 2 kilograms each. So what we need to do is we create the second item, potatoes, let's link it up again, and we're going to give this one a weight of 2 kilograms. Select OK. So now we've got the 10 kilograms, and we're going to break that into 5 packets of 2 kilogram tomatoes. just to avoid confusion, let's just put 2 kilograms there. So then we go into the repackaging. So it's very similar to assembly, really. So you're putting components together and then moving them into a final product. But actually, the additional thing this can actually cater for is lot control. So let me just go back into my primary item of potatoes. Serial lot number. I'm not sure if they're a serial or lot number. Let me just double check that very quickly. Yogurt. Let me just make sure I've got everything set up here. 10 characters, lot control. Okay, so I'm just going to give the potatoes a lot number. And I'll show you why I'm doing this in a second. So we've got yogurt and 2 kilograms here. Yogurt. Okay, and we're assigning the lot number at time of receiving. So firstly, I'm going to do a purchase invoice for the main item, being the 10 kilograms. Let's do that quickly. 10 kilograms. Potatoes. All vendors. And I'm going to assign our lot number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go, there's our lot number. You required 1 lot number. Let me change the quantity so that purple mess is in the way. And we record. Vendor number required. So now I'm going to go to the repackaging. We'll select the original item, which contains 10 kilograms worth of potatoes. And we're going to break this down into 5 packs of 2 kilogram potatoes. So let's go and select that second item. I'm going to give this a lot number. So this lot number is expired. For the sake of this example, we'll just continue. And so we're going to break this into 5 packages. And it's pulling through the weight of 2 each, so it's making sure the weight is matching. So if I made this 4, it won't allow us to record because it doesn't equal the amount. Comments required, training. So I put 4 here, you'll see. So obviously this doesn't add up. So 4 times 2 is 8 kilograms. It's not. So you'll see. Total original items weight does not match repackaged items weight. So it has to balance. So we put in 5 there. And you'll see what it's done here. So from the lot number, it's still bringing that across over to here. And it's assigning it to these 5 individual packages. So when I hit record, it's going to take 1 of these out of stock. And it's going to bring 5 of these in across, keeping the original lot number. And just to show you that, so we have our potatoes, and there you go. So we purchased the 10 kilogram pack now when we signed it a lot number, but its available quantity has gone down to 0. And now the potatoes, we've got 5 in stock. And it would have kept the lot number. So if you just find that report on lot tracking, so I see a question, Adema. Our lot numbers, let me just come back to that in a second. Let me just go through this report. Selected, this is the lot number. All lot numbers, that's fine. Run this report. And that's not showing enough detail. Let's have a look. Lot number, lot numbers, select, okay. I'm not seeing quite what I'm looking for there. Let me just still check if I'm missing something here. Lot number, selected lot number. Let's just search all items. Today's date, location default, all lot numbers. There's this selected one I did, wasn't it? Let's have a look there. Here it is, yeah. So here's the lot number, and it's showing us how it's been processed, so the repackaging job. So it's now been assigned to 5 rather than 1. So before it was assigned to 1. So next we have the inventory reorder optimization. I'll come back to the question at the end. I just want to try and get through because I know we are running out of time. I'm not sure if people need to leave bang on the dot, so I just want to get through everything first before I have a look at the questions. So then the next one is inventory reorder optimization. So if you do have version 10 installed at the moment, you won't have this feature. This is like the contract billing. It's not quite been released yet. So it's pretty much ready, so it's still in the testing phase. But this is how it works. So it's still this icon, which was available, and it is available in the version I'm sure you have in place now, but it's been greatly enhanced. So to begin with, you start off in the inventory. You go to master file, and we'll go to any item. One with probably processed a lot would be most useful. So I think Valve has got a lot of transactions against it. So let me go there. And then you go to reorder. So you might recognize this screen. You'll notice there have been quite a few changes. So this side of it over here hasn't changed much, but this has all been included now. So you set up your minimum level. So this is the level you're unwilling to go below. And your reorder point is when your stock gets to that point, that's when you reorder. So these are the new functionalities here. So your safety factor. So it informs you when you go below 30% of your minimum level. Order lead time is the time it usually takes your vendor to deliver the items when you've done a purchase order. And then the reason we're inputting this information is because when we go to the inventory forecasting and we select the period, it's going to calculate what our new and minimum and maximum level should be. And it takes all these factors into account. It takes into account the safety factor and the time it takes your vendor to deliver stock. Days sale in stock. So this is how long you need these items to remain in stock for sales. You put in your minimum order quantity. If you're familiar with our website, we do have a support article, quite a comprehensive support article on this feature. You'll find it if you're interested. I would show you now quickly, but let's get to it. I'll provide a link or something. So economic order factor. So this is just telling you in what multiples you purchase the item from. So if you put 10 here, when you do the purchase order, it'll automatically bring 10 through. It does it in multiples of 10. So it's just rounding up really. We select OK. So that's just setting up the default and setting up some of the settings. So now if we go to the inventory forecasting, this looks quite similar to how it used to look, but it's added in them new settings, so safety factor, order lead time, etc., etc. And you're also able to filter by location and inventory category now, which you weren't able to before. So I'm going to pick a sales period. So this is a past sales period. It's going to help me. It's going to help the system decide how much we need going forward for the next 30 days. So I've selected load, and based on sales at this period, it's adjusting the old minimum level and the new minimum level. And it takes into account the safety factor, the order lead time, etc. So because there's not much data on here, it's not bringing through much of a new max quantity, so there wasn't much sales on these items, so it's not adjusting. And so it's calculating this based on safety factor, order lead time. There is actually a formula for it. I keep trying to remember it. I do have it typed here. I'll type it into the chat if you're interested. So the minimum level is based on order lead time times average time order lead time times average daily sales times 1 plus safety factor. So it's quite a complicated quite a complicated formula, so off the top of my head I wouldn't be able to tell you if these figures were correct or not. But like I said, it's still in the beta testing anyway. So once you do hit save, this will update the new maximum and minimum levels in the inventory master file. So I'm going to click save, reorder points saved successfully. So the next phase in this is you go to accounts payable, and then this new icon, create PO from reorder. So if I go into here and we load, this is bringing up all the items that the system advises is below our minimum level and that needs to be purchased back in. So you're doing a bulk. So you're not selecting one vendor like you would on a purchase order. It's allowing you to do it all in bulk. So we can select our vendor here, and because some of these items don't have a preferred vendor at this time because there's no transactions associated to these items, and also they haven't been linked to a tax code, I need to fill these blocks in. So let me just quickly, might be quicker if I just delete a few lines. Let me delete a few. Let's get it up and I'll show you what it does. Delete, delete. Almost there. I'm just deleting the ones which need suppliers attached to them, which I can do. So these items, so if I press generate purchase order, so you can see they're coming from different vendors, etc. So we'll generate the purchase order. This one obviously missing a tax. It's just, you can see it's just popping through all the invoices, all the purchase orders. And record, and we can close it. We just close these ones. So yeah, similar to the contract billing, this will be released, I'm not too sure, probably in the next few weeks or so. I know it's currently in testing, these two new features. They're the last ones to be introduced to version 10. But they are in the new version 10 brochure. So next on the list we have pick tickets by location. So I know we have a few minutes, so if anyone does need to leave at the scheduled time, do feel free to do so. It is recorded and it will be published online. So don't feel like you have to stick around. It looks like we're going to go slightly over time. I'd estimate probably about 10 minutes over time. So let's move on to the pick tickets. So the first thing is you can split pick tickets by location. So you do a sales order. You select the customer. Actually, what we need to ensure first, let's just make sure I've got two different locations on here. So I've only got, I've got ones in transit. So let me create another warehouse quickly. Joburg warehouse. There we go. So now I'm going to go do a sales order. Select the customer. There are overdue invoices. No. And we're going to select two items. There's no stock available, so we've still got that warning turned on. Yes, we would like to proceed. But these items are in two different locations. So the pick ticket, it's not going to be. There's no use having one pick ticket to give to your warehouse if one of the items belongs to a different warehouse in Johannesburg. So it allows us to split the pick tickets. So we record items below the minimum margin. Yes, we'll proceed. No stock available. Yes, we'll proceed. Customer has overdue invoices. Would you like to convert to a sales quote or proceed? We'd like to proceed. Thank you very much. We go to the warehouse. And then if we go to pick tickets now, you'll see location. So these are the ones all say default. So there's a default location. Whereas the one we just processed now says multiple. So it's letting us know that the sales order consists of items that have been ordered from different branches or whatnot, wherever it may be. So we're going to select the multiple one. Issue selected. Yes. And now when we go to print pick tickets, you'll see that we have, where is it now? Print pick tickets, the same sales order here. So at the top here, we've got two pick tickets, but they both belong to that same sales order. So the guys in the warehouse in Joburg will get one pick ticket for that relevant item, and the other ones at the default location will get another pick ticket. And also another new feature, so another one is delivery methods for pick tickets. So it's just this really, so you can filter the delivery. So this is where the delivery methods are set up. So this icon here, which we covered yesterday, it's showing you here, so the pick tickets are obviously linked to customers, so depending on the default one, this just allows you to filter which sales orders and what delivery method they're associated to, so you can just filter it. So I mean, if you had one for collection, it would be good to know that they're not to be sent out, they're to be collected. So it's just a filter really, nothing more. And that's the end of the brochure. Let me just check if there's anything else on the agenda. So yeah, that finishes it with Palladium, but there's one last thing, which is Microsoft Power BI. So, which is a fantastic tool. So it's a Microsoft product. It's a reporting tool. And it's a great way for consulting. So if we go here, this is Power BI. So we can set up reports for our customers and we can customize them specifically for what they require. So this is just a demo pack that we have set up. So we have sales by item category, etc., etc. And it's very interactive, it's simple to use, it's just a drag and drop, so you can customize exactly how you want. And you can get the data live from Palladium. That's the key thing, it's a live connection. And the best thing about this application, I mean, it's fantastically aesthetically, and also it's free. If you pay, you can pay, I think it's $10 a month, so it updates, so it's a live update. But the free option means it updates once a day, which I don't see why you require anything above that really. Once a day should suffice. But in case they want it to be live, then I think it's $10 a month per user, I believe. And it's all quite interactive, so if I click here, if you click on one graph, it changes the other one. Let's have a look at another table. I think the computer's going slow on me now. So if you can select things and it isolates that month. Everything's quite, it's very pretty, if I don't mind saying. Yeah, and you integrate this via SQL, you get your data from your SQL database. And another big selling point of this is it's available on 3 different platforms. So you have the Microsoft Power BI website, and let me just go on the site quickly, Microsoft Power BI. And so it's available on your browser, there's a desktop application, it's available on any tablet, and there's a mobile application for it as well, which is really worth downloading. I'd really recommend you take a look at that. It looks fantastic on a mobile. So you set up your graphs and everything on your PC or your tablet, and then these ones will pull through to your mobile phone. It looks fantastic. You should really download the application. Like I said, it's free, and you can connect it to a sample database or whatever you may wish. Yeah, I've only just touched on the Power BI because we are setting up a more in-depth training. I believe one of our MDs will be doing that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our MDs, so it'll be Marco Aldino. I think we'll be doing online training. There'll probably be more information on that in the next newsletter. So I just wanted to give you an overview on what it looked like, and I mean, it's a fantastic tool. I don't know why no one would want it, especially when it comes at, it can be free, and it's a great tool and great for consulting as well. So we've covered everything there. So we've run slightly over time, 4 minutes, not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. So do you have any questions at all I'd like to cover? I think Nadima, you had one a bit earlier, which I didn't get to. Does anyone else have any issues? Tanya, I'll get back to you on that internal requisitions. Not too sure. I do agree with you. It does make more sense to do multiple at a glance, but perhaps there's a reason for it. Are there any default GL accounts set up for these internal issues? By default, it's set to the right adjustment write-off account because you're not selling these items. You just write it off. But I mean, that's the client's preference. So you can set up a specific account for it if you wish. but the adjustment write-off is the default one. Are lot numbers available to be viewed per transaction in item inquiry? Tanya, yeah, regarding the efforts in linking it up, it's not too much effort really. It is a user-friendly program. I mean, if you go on the website, there's loads of tutorials on it. It's something we're still being trained on internally, but there's many tutorial videos on it. So I mean, to get your data here, linking it up, I can quickly go through the process to link it live if interested. I'm not sure why it's going so slowly. So you just select your database, SQL Server database, let it pull up. But when we do set up a training with one of our MDs with it, I'd really recommend attending that. I'll be definitely ensuring that they record it. So you set up your MSSQL Server 2014. I'm not sure if that's even my thing. Database name is optional. Still loading. Any further questions from anyone? We've had a question from Nadima, Tanya, Maureen. You got any questions at all? No, it's unable to connect. I'm not even sure what my server name is. My SQL database name is. I'm using a colleague's laptop. Yeah. But it's not too complex. But I recommend you visit the website, download the app, watch a couple of tutorial videos, and you'll take it from there. And if you have any questions, let us know. And the training, I think it might be next week or the week after. I'd have to confirm that with the directors and the marketing lady, just to confirm when that is happening. Okay, well, thanks for joining me the last couple of days. I'll make sure these are published this evening. Okay. Thanks. Nadima, activation for version 10, is it new to current activation codes? I'm not too sure I understand your question there, Nadima. If you're talking about the product key, it's no different to the earlier versions. It's not like upgrading from business to enterprise. The product keys will still remain the same, if that's your question. Okay, I'm just going to stop the recording. Thanks, everyone. I'll make sure you're updated when it's all been uploaded to YouTube. Thanks.